And Lori-Ann LaRocco, let's bring you in, global supply chain reporter for CNBC, Heather Boushey, former member of the Council of Economic Advisors, and Peter Baker, New York Times White House correspondent. Heather, starting with you, you worked with the now ousted Commissioner of Labor Statistics. What was her approach to her job, to the data collection, and what's your reaction to her sudden firing?
Well, this is just completely out of bounds. Erica McIntyre was a longtime civil servant for the Census Bureau. She is a person of integrity. She's a brilliant economist. Her work is well cited. She's a serious, incredible person. And I know that she took the responsibility of leading the Bureau of Labor Statistics very seriously. She got to lead a team that was putting together data that she herself had used as a researcher and understood that the credibility of that data is absolutely important. And, these are ungrounded complaints coming from the president. And, it's an attack on her in a way that should not be happening. The process to create this data is, very deep. There's dozens of people who are involved, and there's, this is just, it is really an attack on the credibility of the U.S. Statistical Agency.
Peter, the president was angered over these dismal job numbers that just came out yesterday and that substantive downward revision that we saw from May to June. Revisions, as we know, can be routine in these releases, but does the president have a point in being frustrated with that discrepancy?
Well, look, this is normal. This is nothing unusual here. This happens all the time. To be frustrated with reality is not to mean that it's the person who brings you the message at fault, right? He gave you no evidence whatsoever that she did anything to rig these numbers. He said it was his opinion, my opinion, he said. Well, my opinion is the same thing as a scientific argument that somehow the statistical collection is wrong. He just doesn't like the numbers, very clear. And the story he told yesterday, by the way, to justify this firing by saying she was politically biased, he had 100% wrong. He said she didn't release numbers until after the election, suggesting there had been fewer jobs created than previously reported. In fact, she released those numbers in August, before the election, when it would be most damaging to the Democrats, not the other way around. And yet he continued to repeat that false story to justify a firing. This is part of a larger pattern with him. If you have facts that he doesn't like, he has made very clear in the second term, whether it be science, whether it be intelligence, whether it be vaccines, whether it be any number of different things, if you have contrary facts, you risk getting punished. Look what happened to Smithsonian. The Smithsonian History Museum has an exhibit on impeachments. It removed Donald Trump from that exhibit and said there are only 3 presidents who are threatened with impeachment removal. That would be Andrew Johnson, Richard Nixon, and Bill Clinton, as if it never happened, because Donald Trump doesn't want, of course, that to be in a museum, or people don't believe he wants to do that and are preemptively acting on what they think would be his wishes.
Heather, let's touch on that for just a second. Fed Chair Jerome Powell has been one of those people to draw anger from the president by refusing to lower rates over concern about tariffs and inflation. The president railed against him yesterday in that Truth Social post. Are you concerned he could face the axe next?
Well, listen, I want to be very clear that what's going on here is that the president doesn't like the economic outcomes that he is seeing, and he's taking it out on, longtime servants of the public who have been acting with integrity. And, the thing about, just to go back for a moment to yesterday's data on the labor market, one of the things that we know is that it tends to be the case that you have big negative recessions when the economy is switching from growing to contracting. I'm not saying that we're going to see more such negative revisions in the future, but given all of the economic policies this president has put in place, we have all been watching with bated breath what would happen with the labor market. And yesterday's data indicate that there were actually many fewer jobs created than had previously been estimated as new data came in. The president doesn't like that answer, and he, especially on his big tariff day, because that has implications for the effectiveness of his economic policies. Now, with Jay Powell, it's the same thing. His policies have ballooned the deficit and debt. Now he has that as a problem, and he wants interest rates to come down. So he's saying, well, I'm going to make the Federal Reserve do what I want so that, the economic outcomes don't look so bad. But it is these civil servants, it is people like Chair Powell, like, Commissioner McIntyre, who are trying to help us understand what's really happening in the economy. And just because the president doesn't like it, he needs to accept responsibility for the economy that he is creating.
Obviously, Fed Chair Powell is looking at inflation, and we know that when there's a softening in the jobs market, sometimes the Fed chair can decide that this is a ripe time to lower interest rates. That's what the president has been pushing for here. So could we see that happen?
Well, certainly. Yesterday's labor market data is going to affect, how the Fed makes its next decisions. It probably makes it more likely that they do lower rates in the future because it does appear that the labor market is softening, and that is what we've all been concerned about. However, the tariffs that were put in place yesterday and other things that are happening throughout the economy are also raising costs for American families. This is putting the Federal Reserve in quite a bind. And, because they have the dual mandate, they need prices to remain stable and they need to keep us at full employment or try to, get us as close to that point. But certainly yesterday's news does indicate that the labor market is not as healthy as it was when the Federal Reserve made their decision earlier in the week.
Lori-Ann, let's bring you in here. Let's talk about the tariffs. Your recent piece for CNBC reads, Trump's new global tariffs add to risk of higher prices and less choice as retail spring ordering season starts. So what's going on behind the scenes for wholesalers, distributors right now? You follow the supply chain. How much are the tariffs creating uncertainty for them?
The uncertainty is still there because a lot of the major trading partners, be it Canada, Mexico, and China, those are still in flux. And what our viewership really needs to realize is the timeline in terms of ordering. Retailers normally look at their future orders 6 months in advance. Wholesalers and retailers, they're a couple of months before that, so in upwards of 9 months. And so a good example in terms of not only the prices that we're seeing going up, it's the lack of breadth of product. You've seen a lot of data coming in terms of the June and July freight orders. That's all of our most of the back to school, but more importantly, all the holiday items. There will be less coming in. In fact, one of my sources from the wholesale and distributor side told me the largest importer of Christmas trees, they have seen a 60% decrease in orders from both brick and mortar retailers and local hardware stores for this year. And so right now, while we're all hot in these heat waves, the retailers and wholesale distributors, they're actually placing their orders for the spring items. And so the stuff that we're going to be seeing in the stores come, say, February onwards, that's all being ordered now. And so with these tariffs, the layering effect that these are minimum set tariffs, because remember, there's a multitude of tariffs that can be levied on a product. So you're looking at a minimum of anywhere, say, of 20% and up. This is the reason why retailers are not going to be bringing a lot of product in.
So, Heather, clearly this is moving from the abstract concept of tariffs to the real deal here. Is there any way to project when consumers might begin feeling the effects of those tariffs and of the inventory that is or is not on store shelves?
Well, certainly what we saw in the beginning of the year was people ramping up their purchases, ramping up imports in advance of the tariffs that we all knew were going to be announced. Now those inventories have been sold off and they're down. And so I think we are going to start to see those effects over the next few months work their way through the economy. And I think that where we're really probably going to see it is in the holiday season. But already, because of the uncertainty, because of, we've all sort of known that this was perhaps coming. I want to be very clear, this has been so chaotically implemented. We're still wondering exactly where everything is going to land and whether or not the president will pare anything back in light of bad economic news. But I think there are estimates out there that this will raise the cost of, for families overall over about $2,000 on an annual basis. The tariffs are higher than at any point than they've been since the 1930s. So certainly we are likely to start seeing these implications, particularly on goods, of course, coming in the next few months. It's important to note that this is happening at the same time when millions of families are seeing their healthcare costs go up because of the implications of the Republican budget bill that just was signed into law. So you have a lot of things that are going to be raising costs for families over the next few months. And we saw that in this week's data that, consumer spending, it slowed, an indication, I think, that people are feeling that economic anxiety.
Economic anxiety and already talking about a Grinchy Christmas, and we're just in August. Lori-Ann LaRocco and Heather Boushey, thank you so much for being with us. And Peter, don't go anywhere. You're sticking around here.